Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in today on this beautiful Tuesday. I am so happy you decided to tune in to build your best life. My platform is designed to assist high school age and young adult males as they follow my basic principles to overcome obstacles from their personal lives as well as those flung on them by society. And all of this is in order to help them to build their best lives. I do believe it is better to fix early rather than to train early rather than to fix later. I am so happy today to have a special guest on. I have Miss Jacquie Rolle on with me today. I'm going to introduce her at this time.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. Good evening. It is such a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited. I'm honored. I thank you. I thank you for giving me this opportunity, for sharing your platform, and looking forward to a great discussion.
Great. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jacquie before we get started. She was born in Freeport, Grand Bahamas. And at the age of 13, she gave her life to the Lord. And from that moment, she has been committed to serving the Lord. Her passion is to pour into the next generation, and she admits that her biggest addiction is serving others. Miss Jacquie obtained her MBA from Lemoyne College, Syracuse, New York, and considers her time there to be one of the best decisions she has ever made. After graduation, after graduate school, she eventually returned home to the Bahamas, where her life would continue to grow spiritually. Having been ordained in 2008 as a minister while attending Soul Winners Full Gospel Church in Exuma, Bahamas, Miss Jacquie has served in various capacities over the years, from children's ministry worker, student Christian movement leader, church media, liturgical dancer greeter, young adults leader, and many other areas. Presently, she attends Mount Tabor Global United Church and Jubilee Cathedral Church in Freeport, Grand Bahamas. She presently works at the Bahamas Red Cross as a PMER officer, planning, monitoring, evaluation, and reporting, where she has been employed since 2019, immediately leaving Grand Bahama after Hurricane Dorian. However, it was stepping out in faith and starting her own business, Excel Management Group International, in 2012, that has been one of the greatest accomplishments in her life. Her passion as a sports agent, not active because of family responsibility at this moment. Miss Jacquie is the first Bahamian to be an NFL certified agent. Yeah. WNBA certified agent and FIBA certified agent. This opportunity afforded her the chance to travel and on behalf of her clients throughout the U.S. Another thing she enjoys doing is planning virtual parties. Her last achievement is the publishing of her ebook, Experience Has Taught Me. Event planning is a COVID-19 environment. She is always excited to share her life experiences with others to help encourage and edify them. All that sounds so awesome. Well, you have to tell
Thank
us a
you.
little bit more about some of that.
Thank you. I know you is amazing how you can go through life and over the course of your journey, over the course of just life in itself, you accomplish so much. You do so many different things. You know, you are directed in so many different ways, and then you sit down. You have to write and be like, "Wow, I didn't realize all of that has happened in my short space of time."
That's great. Was there anything else that I did not mention that you would like to mention at this time?
Well, I am the youngest of three. My parents had three daughters. I am the youngest of the three. And I'm also passionate about, I love event planning and doing events. And since COVID-19, I've started to do virtual events. And it's been pretty interesting, pretty exciting. And one of the things that I also would like people to know that, being and coming from the Bahamas, we have an opportunity here to open up our doors to the world. And so for me, I've always been, I love meeting people and love having the opportunity to share, especially when I'm sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. But being able to share and to make friends and to meet people. And, over the course of my life, especially when I was growing up in my home, at home, my mom always told us as young kids that manners and respect will take you a long way in life. And she preached it in us until she would start the sentence and we would finish it like, oh yeah. And then she would talk about young ladies. Young ladies are supposed to be seen and not heard. So just a good upbringing and a good foundation. So definitely kudos to my parents. Great individuals. Beautiful, beautiful individuals.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful to hear. But it's amazing, what one can accomplish. And
Yes.
especially, it's very enlightening when all those things have been positive things, things that can help others. Because so many people, have gifts and talents and they
Yeah.
use it for the wrong things, like I'm always talking about all these scammers or what have you. You can just tell they have great talent because, the way they can, scam and, make people think that they are genuine or whatever. So I'm thinking, you have all this talent. Why not, go out and start a business? But so to have people that are taking their God-given talents and using them, for positive things, that's so wonderful.
Yes, yes. And doing what you have been created to do. I always tell people, make sure you stay in your lane. Make sure you know what your lane is and stay in it, because it will alleviate a lot of stress and a lot of heartache down the road.
All right. Yes. All right, Miss Jackie. The first question I have for you is that you have worked with youth as during your time with the student Christian movement, as well as leading the young adults at church. What are some of the significant issues that you see among our young men? Issues that they are having?
And Miss Deborah, I just absolutely love your vision and the assignment and the mantle that God has placed on your life, because more than ever, it is so needed. And more than ever, we need to be able to reach out to our young men. And, it does take a village to raise a child. And, over the years, having the opportunity to serve in so many different capacities, it's just allowed me to see and to understand uh, young men in such a unique way. And one of the things that so many of our young men, what they struggle with is that of identity and trying to determine, who am I? What am I really called to do? What is my purpose in life? And what does God assign me to do? And so a lot of what we see going on in our young men today is birth out of a lack of identity and understanding who they really are. I remember many years ago, hearing Dr. Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, speak. And he said that, if you do not know the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. And so when we don't understand the purpose of who we really are, then abuse is going to happen. Whether it's we are abusing ourselves, when you see so many young men, either they're caught up in gangs, which is a huge problem here, in the Bahamas, especially here in Nassau. Whether it's them getting involved in drugs or drinking or sex addiction or whatever the case may be, is because there's no sense of, who am I?
Yeah, that really resonates because as I try to teach in my platform, one of the first things that I bring up is love yourself first. Love yourself, respect yourself, and take care of self first. So I think love identity that is.
And that is important, to establish those affirmations, because once you begin to understand, and once you have, you know especially our young boys, once you begin to plant that seed and you continue to water that seed, where you're constantly sharing those affirmations and those confirmations of, this is who I am, When they get out there in the world, they know just what I'm called to do. This is what I'm called to do. And it's so much easier to stay on the straight and narrow rather than detouring and finding themselves down many dead ends and many streets of pain and suffering and heartache. But that is absolutely so important. And being able to allow them to share and to speak it over their lives, even if they might not believe it at that time, but continuously speaking it and hearing it, then of course they're going to begin to see change in their lives.
Yes, it is very important to keep reiterating it, because write that affirmation. First, you may have to read it, but if you continue to say it every day, you're going to learn it by heart, and it's just going to become a part of you. And like, hey, that's me. That's me. And all those words should be positive, and they should be about you, that
Yes.
you get rid. So you're not
Yes.
worried about anybody else.
Yes, that is so true, because now you're taking on that identity. You're taking on the very thing that you're constantly speaking over your life. And now your mindset is beginning to change and your belief is beginning to change. And now when you are faced with persons who are coming against you, or a world that's coming against you, you could step back and say, wait, that's not who I am. I know who I am, because your heart is changed and your mind is changed. And so with that mindset change, you now able to take on that belief system. And so your actions are going to begin to line up with the things that you believe.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Good evening, Dan. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so in my platform, I teach that it is better to teach early rather than try to fix later. What are your thoughts about this?
Oh, I totally agree. We have a saying here in the Bahamas, you bend the tree while it's young. When you have young boys who are of the age, and, one of the things I love about being in children's ministry is that you have that opportunity where you could begin to mold that child and mold that little boy, because now he's going to begin to see, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. And so at an early age, you begin to take that, and you take that seed, and that seed is that heart, that little heart, and you began to water that seed. It's so much easier for you to help that individual to make good choices and make right choices in life. Because when you have a tree that's old and firm and the roots are already planted, and you're trying to take this tree up, you're going to have so much opposition, and it's going to require so much more strength and so much more energy in order for you to pull that up, and sometimes nearly impossible for you to make any changes to that tree. So, but when you have that individual, that young boy that you can influence, and you could begin to discipline them and to show them the direction that they need to go and to correct them, it's so much easier. And I definitely agree, because a lot of times when we see kids doing things, sometimes we might laugh at it. If a kid tells a fib, or if a kid does something, goes in the kitchen and takes a cookie out of the cookie jar, and you laugh at it because you think it's cute, but already that mindset of that child is beginning to be molded. And so we have to look for opportunities like that, where you can discipline that child and correct that child, so they now know in the future, okay, it's not right, to steal cookies out of the cookie jar, or not go in the store and take things, or steal from, the store, or anything like that. So it's so important to definitely mold our boys when they're very, very young.
Yeah, yes, it is very important because once, like you said, once they are living that life and getting used to doing that, it's hard to break it. I mean, it's just like I can think of two of my younger grandchildren. Nana allowed them to jump on the sofa. Well, I didn't think anything of it, so I'm not thinking, if they go to somebody else's house, they're gonna think, oh, I can jump on the sofa. So I just let them jump on down the sofa. Then their dad came over one day, and so I'm doing it. He's like, "What are y'all doing? Stop doing that!" But now to let them do it, so it's so hard for them to stop.
And and kids are like sponges, and you have to be so careful what you do and what you say around them because they absorb it all. And when you take a sponge, when you dip that in water, it soaks up all that water. But when you squeeze it, everything that's on the inside is going to come out, whatever that is. And so the same thing with a child, because as they are young and they're absorbing everything, being in that environment, and they're doing things that they know that's not right, or what they think is right. But until they come out of that environment and somebody teaches them otherwise, as far as they're concerned, mommy did it at home, so she never said anything about it. So there's nothing wrong with me going out and going to a friend's house, or going to an aunt's or uncle's house or whoever and doing the very same thing,
Right. Yes. Definitely. But I like that analogy of the sponge.
Yes.
That's a good
Yes.
All right. And I know this is an odd question, but I have my reasons for asking. But do you think that every young man should own a suit? Why or why not?
I think so. I think suits are essential. I know there are some guys I've met who totally don't want to do the suit thing. But in fact, I have an uncle who was like that. I know he wouldn't like me saying that, but he does not like wearing suits unless there's a special occasion. But the way that we dress, it speaks volumes of who we are, because the first thing that an individual is going to see is our outward appearance. And so when a young man could wear a suit, it says that, and even though his life might not be exactly where he would want it to be, it's a clear demonstration of where he's going. People will respond to him differently. If you walked into a store, and your pants is below your hips, and your pants are baggy, and your shirt, and you just have that appearance of, I really don't love myself, I really don't care for myself, then people are going to treat you accordingly. But when you can dress the part, and it also allows young men to have that confidence, that, yeah, I know I have a favorite suit, and trust me, when I put that suit on, I feel like Superwoman. It's like, yeah, this is my power suit. And so it does give you that confidence, and it gives you that mindset that, it builds up your self-esteem, and you're now able to go out there, and it helps in the way that your deportment, and how you act, and the way you carry yourself. So yeah, every young man should have a suit. Every young man.
Yeah. I asked that because I believe, and I know sometimes what I believe, a lot of people, don't believe the same thing. But, as I talk about teaching basic principles, some things I think are here for the long haul. They're not going to go away. And I'm never one to say that somebody has to wear name brands, because I don't wear name brands. I mean, if it's something that's a name brand and I want it, I'll get it. But I'm not somebody that I have to have all name brands. But
Right.
Every occasion calls for a different type clothing, so you should already have them. So you're not putting a burden on yourself if you need it for something. Somebody asks you to be an escort at something, or somebody wants you to do something at church, or you need to go on an interview. Even if those are in high school, sometimes there are different organizations. They may want you to put on a suit. Well, I don't think anybody should have to feel bad because they don't have one. But I do think that there are several different occasions that you would be able to use it. It wouldn't be like it's something in the closet that, hey, you're not going to ever use, because there are appropriate times to wear them.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, because, especially as that young man matures, and as he's out there getting out into the world, you never know. You never know what might come about, whether it's a job interview, and even now sometimes some colleges, require you to do interviews, and you want to present yourself in the right way, and different occasions, like you mentioned, whether it's going to church or you're escorting somebody on a special date, you want to have that investment. And I think of it as an investment, that this is something that I have that I could always pull out, and you take care of that and you brush that off. You could wear that as many times and as for many years and as long as you want to, but I think it's an essential piece of garment that every young man should invest in, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I like that. It's an investment. So
Yes.
everyone that's listening out there, and y'all make sure that you like this and share it. But I think that a suit is a great article of clothing to have, and look at it as an investment, because it's something that will be able to help you in life. Whether you're doing an interview, you're going somewhere with your school, and a lot of sports teams, if they're traveling, they want their players to have a suit. So think about it as an investment, and not, someone is trying to change who you are or what you like, because I'm pretty sure, you have a certain way that you like to dress. But just think about it when you look at on TV now, and I know y'all don't look at TV and social media. I don't care if somebody got on a $2,000 suit, they got on those Jordans or whatever kind of tennis shoes. So that's not going to pull away from that. So get your suit.
That is so true. Even as a sports agent, you have to let your clients know, especially when you get to that level of the NFL or WNBA. The way you dress speaks volumes about who you are as a person. And teams look at this, believe it or not. That's very important. The way you carry yourself, and in fact, it's like mandatory in order to dress a certain way. When you're traveling with the team, and when you are going around to different games, and doing different things, you have to represent that team or that city,
Mhm.
at that level. You have to carry yourself in a certain way.
Yes. And a lot of times our young people think when we say things like that, that we're just being so hard on them. But if you think about it, if somebody came and told your parents, "Hey, I saw your son, man, what in the world was that he had on?" Your parents would be so embarrassed, and they would jump all over you. So why do you want to bring that on yourself or your family?
Yes.
This being, like I said before, you should care about yourself first and foremost. Respect yourself. If you want, you always say, the man's down on me, the man, take me for granted. But if you don't respect yourself, how do you expect the man to respect you? You got to respect yourself first.
Yes, and that's all about self-love and being able to, again, it's about your mindset. It's about your belief. It's about, your identity, and who do you see yourself as? We know what the word of God says. We were made in his image and his likeness. And so as a result of it, we have to live that life where we're a reflection of him, and we're a reflection of course, like you mentioned, our parents. When you have a name, my last name is Rolle, and that's not just for me to have a last name. In that last name speaks volumes about my family, my heritage, everything, my identity. And so the same thing with us, and with our young men, when they are out there and you have that name, whether the name is Smith, whether the name is Taylor, whatever it is, you are carrying that name. That's a reflection of who you are. And so it's so important for us, and to encourage our young men that their lives and that outward appearance should line up with their names, and what that name stands for, and who they are.
Yes. Yeah, because they, they should be happy they are not from families like 20, 30 years ago, because somebody would walk up to them and say, okay, what's your family name? Because people in the neighborhoods or whatever, they kept up with everybody's child. So they would want to know, okay, whose child are you?
Yes, yes. Yes, and I know even here in the Bahamas, that still happens today in certain family, what we call the family islands, where if you go into a community, they're gonna ask you, "Who's your people? Who's your people? Who's your family?" And so even today, that still happens, in certain communities, in certain areas, in certain islands. And so, yes, you have that title where you are a reflection of your family. You're a reflection of that name.
Yes. Yep.
So true.
So if that name is, messed up in any type way, that impacts not only yourself, but your family as well. And we're not talking about credibility today because that's one of my biggies, but that name is very, very important, because sometimes as young people, you don't have credit or homes or own a lot of things. So that name is one of your biggest assets, you know. If your name is clean and when somebody says your name, is, oh, yes, I know that young man. He is a respectful young man. Every time I see him, he's on the way to school, or is helping his mom do something. I saw him in the grocery store the other day. He was holding the door for the lady. That is really helping your value. That's keeping your credibility alive.
Yes, yes.
It's important.
And the word of God says there's nothing much more greater than a power than your name.
Yes.
It's far more precious. And there's nothing, because your name will take you any and everywhere. And like you mentioned, when you can share the name of a young man, and they're good individuals, and they're out there, and people could say wonderful things about them, that speaks volume. That speaks volume about who you are, and how precious a name is. Our names are, very, very precious, more valuable than anything.
Yes. All right. So, Jackie, as we spoke earlier, you have worked with young adults. So you work with young adults. You have worked in the young student Christian organization. What is your process when you encounter a young man or a young lady, and you can tell that there is some type of crisis that they are going through? What is your process of handling that?
I think over the years, one thing, and this is something that I observed many, many years ago, being in that environment, is that a lot of times as adults, we do not listen. We get into the presence of young men, young boys, and we feel that we have to constantly talk, talk, talk. And I remember one day during one of my sessions, um, the Holy Spirit was really just speaking to me, and I said, God, I really want to make an impact in the lives of these students, and to be an influence, and to be somebody that they can trust. And, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, that's going to happen through listening. He said, Jackie, you just need to listen to them. Don't go there and don't talk, 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 but listen. And I remember I had a session where I just started to ask them about their lives. And I said very little that afternoon. And they began to just pour out, no, Miss Jackie, you know this. Miss Jackie, you know that. Miss Jackie, this happening at home. Miss Jackie, this is going on. So even when you find an individual who is going through something, and just a few weeks ago, in fact, last week, uh, I had the opportunity where I was just ministering to a young man, and he's going through some things, and he is so precious to me. And I said to him, I said, I just want you to be able to share. And I just listened to him. I did not judge him. And being able to be in that atmosphere where he now let his guard down, and he just began to pour out, and he began to share. So when you see a young man in a crisis, be there as that listening ear. Don't judge, don't speak, just let them pour out, let them share, let them be able to express themselves, even though you might not agree with it, but let them be able to express themselves. And then once you have listened and you've now built those bonds of trust, then you can go ahead and you could begin to, give advice and give direction.
Yeah, that's very good. Yes. Good evening, Peggy. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, Miss Peggy says we must listen. Yes, and that's something we've been talking about a lot on the platform lately. Is that people want to do the talking instead of sitting there and listening. And you brought out a very good point when you said if you sit there and you listen and you don't judge, then that's where you build that trust. And then they're more apt to come back to you and they will really open up and let you know. And if open and transparent, you can really assist them.
Yes. And a lot of times they're crying out for help. And a lot of times we have to be able to identify that and be able to understand when that individual is really going through something, and being able to let them know that you have somebody who loves you, who cares about you, and who wants to see you successful.
Yep. Very good. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. On my platform, I focus on ensuring that young men have that opportunity to be themselves, as we've been talking about earlier. And it is my belief that basic principles are essential. They are essential to learn early and consistently utilize these basic principles throughout life. It's not like something like a tissue that you use it and throw it away, use it and throw it away. You get it like a towel and you keep it,
Yes.
What are some of the principles that you believe are crucial for our young people?
I think more and more as we look at the way young individuals, especially young men, how they communicate. Communication is like the number one key. If you're not able to express yourself in the right way, then of course you will be misunderstood. If you're not able to go ahead and to be able to not only speak, but reverse as well, where you need to listen and to be able to listen with understanding, then you will take things the wrong way. And so a lot of times we have to teach our young men how to communicate. How do I express myself? And sometimes persons use vulgar language and you feel like, why is that necessary? Because they know nothing else. And again, it goes back to what we shared earlier about that environment. If they're in an environment where they're hearing all these big bomb words and that's ringing in their ears every single day, there are times when I've heard little 2 and 3 year olds, they're cursing and swearing and be like, what? But not that you could blame them. It's the environment that they're in. And so we have to teach our young men the importance of communication. And then another important skill that we have to allow our young men to learn and to teach them is how to control your emotions. Emotional IQ. What is your emotional IQ? Do somebody speak with you and you just go on a tangent or you disagree with somebody? And I think that's a result of why we have so much anger in the world today, so much murders and so much violence in the world today, because people don't know how to express their emotions and they get so emotionally involved. And and being able to control your emotions and then being able to express yourself is like they go hand in hand. And it's like you can't do one without the other. Because if you're not able to control your emotions and realize, what, let me just walk away from this situation, then we find and we see so many young men that are dying in the streets, so many young men that are behind prison So many young men who are broken and torn and addicted to sex and drugs and alcohol and all these different things. Why? Because there is no structure in their lives. They're not able to express themselves. They're not able to control their emotions. And so, these are some of the things that we definitely need to teach our young men.
Yes, those were some good ones. I like the communication and emotional IQ. That's great because that's one of those things. You are your decisions. Your decisions matter. So before you act or speak, you need to stop and think.
Yes.
Stop and think.
Yes, that is of utmost importance, because when you are able to now think about a situation and think about and make the right choice and make the right decision. And I remember talking to a classroom with full of students, and I asked them, I said, what is the most important word you think today? And they would tell me love and this and that. And I said, well, actually, the most important word is choice. Every day you're going to wake up and you're going to have to make a choice in life. And every choice that you make determines your future. And if you're not able to make good choices in life, you're going to find life to be very hard and very difficult. You're going to find yourself frustrated. You're going to find yourself angry. So every day you choose how you're going to live. So making choices in life are very, very, very important word.
Yes, that is so true. Choices. You hear that, everybody? Choices. You have choices that you can make. No, nobody's holding up. Well, sometimes it might be. I was gonna say nobody's holding a gun to your head, but most of the time you are free to make those choices that you want to make. So you have to take that time to stop and think about things. And you don't wait until you get in a crisis. That should be something that you're conscious of, and that goes back to yourself, loving yourself, putting yourself first. Who am I? Why am I important? Why did God make me? My name is Deborah. I was made by God. I am important. And everybody can say that same thing. It's not a Deborah exclusive. That's everybody. He made all of us, and we are all just as important. Yes. Nobody is more important than anybody else. So you have to be thinking about that, where you want your life to go, and you have choices in life. Everybody is not dealt the same hand. You can be born poor and leave here as a billionaire. You can be born as a billionaire with a silver spoon in your mouth and leave here homeless. So it's all about choices and what you do in life and what you do with what you have. Because again, saying what God gives us, he gives us all at least one talent. Just if you were on when I was introducing Miss Jacquie, he gave her several talents and she hasn't put those to waste. Now, she could have been someone to say, oh, well, what do I want to do? I think I just want to go down here. No, I don't want to be bothered with anybody. I don't want to stress on my life. I'm just going to go down here and work. No, I was going to say work with Wendy's, but maybe if you work in the kitchen, you'll be okay. Because if you work on the front line, you're still going to be stressed out. She could have taken all those talents and not made good choices, but she's made good choices. And look up at all the difference that she's been able to make in her life and the lives of others, because she has made the right choices, and we all have that same opportunity.
Yes, that's right. And I'm glad that you said, it doesn't matter if you were born poor, it doesn't matter if you were born rich, you determine the course of your life. And, you could be born into an influential family and still end up broke and poor. And you could be born in a poor family and make choices where you are now breaking generational curses financially, and you're now wealthy and being able to transform the very essence of your whole direction of your family.
That is so right.
Yeah, that's so powerful. So powerful.
Okay, this is good stuff. So y'all make sure, please share this video with others. Put it out on your pages or whatever, because this is some good information. Okay, what is the most important thing that you think what is the most important thing that you can say to young people?
Oh, I think for me, it's definitely about having a relationship with God. You know, over the course of my life, I know where that has been my anchor, because life is hard. Life is hard. I remember when I left home, and I graduated from high school when I was 16 years old. And I really wanted to go off to college. I wanted to go off to the US. And my mom was like, no, you're too young. I'm not letting you go. And I was like, Mommy, I'm good. I'm mature enough. You know, I think I'm a mature 16-year-old, whatever. And she was like, no, no, you can't do it. But over the course of time, um, I remember eventually moving away from home and starting college. And I had a conversation with my best friend. And we were like, you know, why our parents never told us life was like this? You know, we grew up in a neighborhood where everybody knew each other. You could walk in a neighbor's house and go in their fridge and say, hey, what y'all have to eat? When you cook for the whole neighborhood. And so we realized that we grew up in a sheltered world. We were extremely blessed because we recognized that a lot of people were never ever afforded the opportunity that we had. And so we were trusting of people. We trusted everybody. Because we thought everybody was nice and caring and looking out for your best interest. And then we realized that this is a cold world. So one of the things, and it was that my relationship, and I say that to say it was my relationship with God, which was that foundation that my father and my mother had put on and it's still on the inside of me, that made a big difference. That as I got older and as I went off to school and lived away from home, you know, that was my anchor in allowing me to be able to stay rooted and grounded and not be able to go out there and make poor choices and do crazy things, you know. So all of that. So I encourage young people, you know, allow God to be your anchor. Allow him to come into your heart and just allow him to direct you and to lead you, you know, in the way that he would have you to go.
Yes, that is a great one. So I hope everybody was listening to that. That is a great one, because you can't go wrong without God. You cannot go wrong. All right. This has gone so fast. Jacquie, what tips would you like to offer to our parents so that they can begin teaching young men those things that will benefit them?
You know, I personally don't have any kids yet, but I have so many godchildren and so many adopted children that, you know, my best friend, she has a son, and she said, you know, raising a boy it's so unique. And she said, parenting for raising boys are so much more different. I've heard a lot of people tell me this, you know, parenting for raising boys are so much more different than girls. And we know that boys have a completely different makeup. And so we have, as parents, you know, it's so important to understand your child and to really, really get to know your kid, because every child is different.
Yes.
And you know, what might apply to one child might not apply to another child. And I think for a lot of parents, unfortunately, they really don't know their kids. You know, when I say that, you know, I say it in a sense of, I'm not talking about what their favorite foods are. I'm not talking about what their favorite game or their favorite shoes or their favorite whatever. I'm talking about knowing your child to that place where If they walked in the house, you know that something is wrong. If they don't say anything to you, you know that something is wrong. That if you have a son, and a lot of times for our young boys, it's hard for them to express themselves. It's hard for them to be able to express exactly how they're feeling. Because in the world, we teach our young men that, you aren't supposed to show emotion, or you're not supposed to get emotional, or, you're not supposed to cry, which is wrong teaching.
Right.
So you have to be able to understand that child. And even when they say something, you have to be able to really read behind what that individual is saying to you, more than just the mere words. And like I was sharing, I was talking with this individual just last week, and just doing some one-on-one, just loving on him. And I was just listening to his conversation. And in that, immediately I was able to ask the right questions. And by doing that, it allowed him to open up more and more and more and more. So as parents, we need to be able to ask the right questions, so that we will be able to get to that place and get to the root of what is going on in that child's life. And you see, especially in so many homes, unfortunately, a few months ago, we had an individual, his son committed suicide, and he was about 14 years old here in the country. And it left me as an individual just totally broken, because when you have a young boy at that age, so many times their messages could be mixed, and we have to be able to be in a position where we truly listen and understand what that person is faced with and what that person is going through.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody is moving so fast, doing so many different things, and a lot of times, we're not taking the time to say, "Hey, God loaned them to me. They are my priority. I need to give my child time." He just rushed in here. "Hey, mom, something's not right."
Yeah. Yes.
The time to go and talk to find out what is going on.
Yes.
They deserve that.
And parenting is not easy. Parenting is an everyday task, is an everyday pouring in, and being able to, the sole purpose of parenting is to be able to guide that child and to be able to mold that child, so that, like the word of God says, Proverbs 22:6, train up. So when you train somebody, think about being in the military. The military trains you for warfare, so that when the warfare happens, you have the tools, the equipment, the knowledge, the ability to help you overcome the enemy. And the same thing in life. We're training our children so that we're able to instill in them the abilities, the talents, the know-how, the knowledge to identify, so that when the enemy comes up against them, they would be victorious. And so parenting requires a whole lot of love, and just love on your kids. Just love on them.
Yes, definitely. Yes, Miss Peggy says, parenting is not easy. Every child is different. We must know our child or children. It's so key. So,
Yes.
most definitely.
Thank you, Miss Peggy, and you're absolutely right. I'll never forget a story. One of my pastor in Syracuse, New York, Apostle Leroy Leggett, and he had 6 children, and he shared a story that I will never forget. He said all of his children are different. He said one child he could send to the room and they will cry, boo-hoo cry. He sent another child to the room. Oh, they having a good old time. He said one child, he will take away the privileges, no TV, no phone, no nothing. I mean, and they're breaking down crying. The next child, he take that away and they all So he said, I had to learn my children. I had to learn what worked for one did not work for the next one. And so each of them was different, you know, and Miss Peggy, you're absolutely correct. You know, you have to understand, you know, your child. And as parents, you know, not to show favoritism in the home, you know, and you have a lot of parents that, you know, they may favor one child over another, but that only brings further division in the family, you know, when you do that. But to be able to love that child and accept that child for who they really are and where they're at in their life, because they might be at one place today and tomorrow. You've heard so many stories of children who, you know, that was a good child, and then 15, 20, 30 years, that good child is the one in prison. And then you had the one who gave me all the problems and the hell in the world, excuse my language, and all the trouble and this and that. And they go on to be very successful. Just a change of life. And so you really cannot, you know, favor one child or teach one child different or love one child different from the other one.
That's right. Yes, they're all different. They have to be treated differently at certain times. But you know, like on the movie, what is it? This Christmas, they said baby was her favorite. She said, no, whoever's talking to me at the time and has a problem is my favorite.
Yes, and that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Yes. So Jackie, thank you. This has been a wonderful talk. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to share with the young people or the parents or the support system?
I just want to encourage, especially our young boys, I just want to encourage them to find your purpose, find who you are in life, and begin to walk it out. It's not going to be easy, but recognize and realize that there's a greater purpose to who you are. And through doing that and making those little steps, it's not about the big steps, it's just about the little steps. Be able to make choices that your future would be proud of. You know, make choices now today that you can look back when the future becomes the present, and you can look back and say, wow, I made the right choice. I did the right thing. And so we have to be in that place, and especially as parents, just to encourage parents, you know, don't give up. Don't give up on your children. Don't give up on your boys, especially, you know, more than ever, we have to continue to steer our boys. We have to continue to encourage our young men to be all that God has called them to be. And it is going to require you to put in a lot of time and effort and a lot of love.
Yes.
To put in a lot of love. But it's going to be so worth it at the end of the day. It's going to be so worth it at the end of the day that you'll be able to look back and see the fruits of your labor in your child and in your boy and in your son. And so I just want to encourage everybody, encourage parents, and encourage our young boys and our young men to continue to just do what God has called you to do, and to find that fulfillment in just reaching high and just doing your best, you know, and just achieving and running after who God has called you to be. And so that is definitely something that I want to leave with everybody. And I definitely want to thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Deborah, for this opportunity to just share, and know that God will continue to bless you always.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time out to be here. But when I was reading your bio, you said something on there about a book. So you have to tell us about your book.
Yes, my book is called Experience Has Taught Me Event Planning in a COVID-19 Environment. And I mentioned that I do events, and I love it. It's a lot of work, but I absolutely love it. And I wanted to share my experience, especially in this COVID environment, with other individuals, whether you're an event planner or you're just somebody who loves putting on events. and being able to go ahead and share my knowledge and the experiences that I've had over the years. So it's a good read, a good read. And you can definitely find it on Amazon, and definitely go ahead and check it out.
Very good. All right, you heard that. It's event planning during COVID-19, and Jacquie Rolle, Rolle. Check her out on Amazon.com.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are so welcome. And I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. And please go to my website and check it out so you can see that my calendar of events that I have. I do 3 live videos each week. That's one on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, one on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and one at 9:30 a.m. on Saturdays Eastern Standard Time. And those are on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. As well, I do 3 posts a day on all social media platforms, Monday through Friday. You go to my website that I have up on the screen now. You can reach all of my social media sites. You can go, that's easy to just pop on my website and click on the logo to get to my different websites. As well as I have my calendar of events on the website. I have my web store, which features all my services that I offer, which is coaching, consultations. I do webinar speaking and speaking engagements. And as well, I have my book out there, Build Your Best Life. And it is basic principles that will assist our young people as well as their support system. So this book is for parents, grandparents, coaches, mentors, you name it. It makes a great Father's Day gift, a graduation gift. You go out there, I have them in stock, get your autographed copy. If you are in the Bahamas, if you order on my website, you still can get them quickly because Anastasia Smith has copies already in the Bahamas. As well, it is available on Amazon.com as a regular book, softcover, hardcover, or ebook. So please follow me on that. As well, please pass the word, everybody. This Saturday, in less than 4 days, my second Men and Boys virtual conference. I am so excited. We have 5 dynamic speakers that are going to be on, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 3 p.m. Our first speaker at 10 a.m. is going to be Vito Patrick from Freeport, Bahamas. At 11 a.m., we have Bishop John Guns from Jacksonville, Florida. At 12 p.m., we have Santana Johnson from Jacksonville, Florida. At 1 p.m., we have Coach Ricardo Miller from Dallas, Texas, and the Bahamas. And closing us out at 2 p.m., we have Adrian McConnell from Dallas, Texas. And when I tell you these men are ready, they have some exciting topics to talk about. We're going to be talking about 5 ways to maximize your potential, how your money matters, living life effectively, becoming a man, and keys to building your best life. So they are ready. Y'all, please join. Please pass the word on, because I am super excited and I am ready. So please join us. I know you probably can't be on there for the entire time, but please, we will be on Facebook and YouTube, so you can come in and out as you would like. So before we go, as always, as you travel on your road to being the best you will run into distractions, rough terrain, detours, and distractions. Don't let any of these negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be the best you so that you can build your best life. Thank you again, Jacquie, for coming on. If you ever need anything, you know how to contact me. I appreciate you. And everybody, please remember, Building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. It's our commitment. So enjoy, be blessed, and I will see you Saturday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.